Hey everybody, Sharon here from VidGamiac.com. Here we are today back in Unichrome going for the Definitely Lucky achievement. This is to pick up 20 of the Unicorn Shoes. The Unicorn Shoes are going to be the main type of collectible found in the story. Thankfully, cheat codes do not disable achievements, so I'm going to recommend you head into the options and then go to gameplay and then make sure you turn on all three cheats: auto fire, infinite ammo, and invincibility. This is going to make things a lot easier. Hop into the story mode. I'm going to recommend that you play it up to the point where you can grab all 20 of the Unicorn Shoes, as you can take advantage of the level skip cheat. However, you are going to probably need certain weapons in order to get to these levels that have the collectibles. That being said, there should be more than 20 Unicorn Shoes available, so we're going to show the first 20 that you can get in order to make sure you get this achievement as quickly as possible. For the sake of brevity, I'm just going to show you the Unicorn Shoe from the start of the level all the way to the point where you would pick it up. With that in mind, every time you do pick up a Unicorn Shoe, you're going to have to finish the level in order for it to count for the collectible, so make sure you try to figure out the rest of the level on your own, but honestly, with those cheats, it shouldn't be too bad. So, first shoe can be found on Chapter 1-1. Once you get to the first checkpoint, instead of dropping straight down to hit the checkpoint, make sure you jump and then clear the gap. Then grab the shoe right here in the corner. All you have to do is just walk over it and then pick it up. Shoe number 2 is going to be located in Chapter 1-2, the desert. We're going to be starting out right here. Make sure you make your way down. Once you hit your first checkpoint, you're going to have these jumps over these spikes right here. Make sure you make your way forward, and then once you get to this part where the level kind of forks, make sure you take the upper path. So jump, try to land between those spikes. You have a POW right here that you can rescue. Once you clear that, you can actually jump right here, and you can walk through this invisible wall, and then you can grab the shoe on the other side right over here. Next one up is going to be in Chapter 1-6, the Grand Gallery. Make sure you load this one up, and then we're going to make our way forward right over here. Just keep going forward. This one's going to be pretty close to the start. Drop down. Watch out for those spikes. Once you drop down and grab that big straightaway of coins, you actually turn to the left and then head this way. Make sure you are quick as you have the disappearing platforms, but quickly make your way over to the left and then grab the shoe in that back corner. Moving on to Chapter 1-7, Queen's Chamber. This is going to be another one that's going to be very close to the start of the level. Make your way forward. You're going to have two paths right here. Make sure you take the more dangerous path, which is going to be the platforming path with the spikes. Make sure you are super duper careful and minding those jumps. Then the last jump is going to be really hard. You're going to have to slide in through this gap and then grab the shoe right here. Once you take care of that, we're going to finally move on, starting Chapter 2 with 2-1, Welcome Street. This is going to be another one that's going to be super duper close to the beginning of the level. Make sure you make your way outside of the entrance hall, then out onto the actual street. Make sure you drop down. You can actually slide over here. You should be able to see this, so this one's pretty much unmissable. It's going to be by the first POW. Moving on to 2-2, this one's downtown. So we're going to start out right here. You're going to have some story beats and stuff where you get another weapon. Make sure you skip through all that the fastest you can, and then just make sure you get to this platforming bit right here. Take those bounce pads all the way up and then zip around through here. You can grab the horseshoe right over here in this corner as long as you scroll the camera far enough. Next level up is going to be 2-4, Underbelly, so make sure you load that one up. This one's going to be a little ways into the level. Make sure you make your way down the opening staircase and make your way forward. Keep trucking along through here, killing all of the enemies, and then you're going to have this big drop right here. Make sure you take that big drop, and then once you are down here, you want to make sure you take the left path to hit up the checkpoint. Once you are here, just make sure you keep chugging along through, and then once you get to this part with this drop, make sure you ignore it and make sure you try to jump. It's going to be a pretty big jump, but you should be able to barely make it. Once you are here, just make sure you slide through the spikes and then grab that one. Next collectible up to bat is going to be in 2-5 Uptown. You're going to start out right here in another super long hallway with some enemies. Make sure you shoot them as always, or you can ignore them. Again, we are going to be invincible, so you don't have to worry about them if you don't want to. Make sure you grab your first checkpoint, and then you're going to take a dip right here. Make sure you grab that ammo, and then you're going to take another dip right here, and the collectible is going to be right here in this corner, so make sure you grab that. This one's going to be another one that's going to be very hard to miss. Moving on to Chapter 3, this one's in 3-2, the Outer Wall. You're going to start right here. It's going to be the introduction of these disappearing block puzzles that everyone loves from every video game. So just make sure you make your way forward and then get through all of this. Then you're going to make your way over here take out the first few enemies on this staircase, and they're going to keep pushing. You have the bridges right here with the disappearing things again, and then you're going to have some platforming bridges. Make sure you get through that, and then once you get past that one, you're going to staircase up here. You're going to find another disappearing bridge. Make sure you take that across. You can actually make it with a big running jump, and the collectible is going to be right over here. Make sure you grab that one before you drop down, though. On to 3-3, the gatehouse. This one's going to be quite a ways into the level, so make sure you try your best to get through this A-okay. You're going to drop down and then make your way forward. We're going to get to this big open area, and we're going to have a crescendo moment, so make sure you try to survive this the best you can. These are going to be quite a slog, even with invincibility, so just make sure you be a little patient and just kill all of the enemies until the game lets you progress, and then once you get through that, we're going to keep pushing forward. You're going to have a grapple hook segment right here. Make sure you grapple and then slide your way down. Be super duper careful. Make sure you get a little swing to avoid that last set of spikes, and then you should be good for that first bit. Drop down here. We have another grapple hook segment right here. So again, just make sure you gingerly lower your way down and then get a little swing to get that last corner. Then we have some spike jumps. Make sure you ignore that for now and then just go left. The game is going to give us another crescendo in this little hidden area right here. But if you can survive it, your reward is going to be the next unicorn shoe in the left corner right here. Next on the chopping block is going to be 3-4. This is going to be the first level that has multiple unicorn shoes, and you can pick up each one, and each one will count for the achievement. There's going to be 3 in this level, so make sure you try to get all 3. You're going to start out right here. The level is going to be pretty linear, so just make sure you keep pushing to the first checkpoint. So once you finally spot the first checkpoint, make sure you unlock it, and then instead of taking the disappearing block path up, you want to make sure you drop down and take the lower path down into this crevice right here. You should find your first unicorn shoe right here. Make sure you grab it alongside all of the extra goodies here, and then once we have it, we can head back to the beaten path. Make sure you get past those disappearing blocks and then hit the next checkpoint. The next one is going to be a little bit hard to get to. We're going to have to reach that ledge right there, which is going to be just out of reach of your normal jump. So you are going to have to do this little trick right here. You want to make sure you have your machine gun out, and what you can do is you can shoot at the ground, which should give you a nice little boost. So get yourself a nice running start, and then just make sure you keep blasting the ground. Jump up, and then just keep shooting the ground, and you should be able to just bounce yourself up and then clip onto the ledge. Once you finally pull that off, you should be able to jump higher up, and then you should be able to cross into here. You have a crescendo bit right here at this little wall top, and then once you get through that, you can drop down into the corner and then grab your next set of goodies, as well as the unicorn shoe included in said goodies.
Here comes the second king.
Make sure you backtrack all the way to the previous checkpoint, and then we're going to continue on the level like normal, so just make sure you get down here and then get through the grapply hook parts. So be a little careful with these can be a little challenging, so just make sure you ease into those gaps, and then you should find your next checkpoint right here. Once you get that checkpoint, we're going to take a left through this wall, and we have another hidden area right here with another crescendo. Make sure you get through that A-okay, which you should since you are invincible. You're going to have the what are you buying guy right here. Make sure you just say hi to him since we don't really need anything, and the collectible is going to be right behind him, so make sure you grab that. Onward and upward to Chapter 4-3, the second cargo bay. This one's going to be a little complicated as the level is going to be split into 2. So the first part is going to have no collectibles, so just get through it as best you can. You aren't going to have your weapons since you get them taken away for story reasons, but you do have this nice convenient dash, which honestly makes the game way easier since you have unlimited of it, and you can just pretty much dash your way through the entire level over all of the stage hazards. So just make sure you get through this first bit of story the best you can, can. It's going to be pretty easy and pretty short as long as you know where you're going. So just make sure you get through all these little obstacles. Watch out for the electricity, but your goal is to make it all the way to the left side of this part. So just keep dashing through the enemies and keep dashing over the electricity. Watch out for those platforms that move you in a certain direction really fast. But once you get to this thing, you're going to blow up the core, and then you're going to start the second half of the level that actually contains the collectibles we're looking for. Make sure you let the cutscene play out because, of course, we have to pay attention to the super interesting story. And then once we get through this, we're going to be on to the actual part of the level we are looking for. So it's going to be Cargo Bay 2 Part 2. We're going to start out right here, pretty much doing the level backwards now, but with different enemies and a different stage layout slightly. Make your way up, and then we're going to keep going until we get to the upper part of the level. There's going to be 2 collectibles in this part. Hit the checkpoint right here, and then we should be able to just dash our way straight up. Once you finally get your footing on solid ground, you're going to make your way up. Again, you do have infinite dash, so take advantage of it. Aim for this POW right here, and then once you rescue them, you're going to make your way over here. The collectible is going to be right over here, over this pit of electricity. Make sure you grab that, super duper easy. And then once you have that, we're going to head back to where we need to get going. So make sure you drop straight down, and then we're going to go back to the beaten path. Once you are here, just make sure you keep trucking forward. You have a little bit of a crescendo right here. Get through that A-OK. Right as soon as you get through that, you're going to keep making your way to the left. Another checkpoint right here. As soon as you see that, the collectible should be immediately in front of you right over here. Just make sure you drop down. You can't pass through those white blocks, so make sure you grab it right next to this POW. On to Chapter 4-6. First one up is going to be really close to the start. It's going to be very missable, especially if you get too focused on the platforming. But you're going to make your way down here, and then you're going to have this part with the speedy platforms. As soon as you jump over the last gap, make sure you don't advance the camera too far as you're going to start the next crescendo bit. What you want to do instead is drop straight down into this gap, and then you can grab it right here. Just ride the conveyor belt back, and then just make sure you jump straight up, and then once you get back on solid ground, start that crescendo bit, and make sure you get through that A-OK. So just keep dash spamming, and you should be able to kill everyone Mighty Number 9 style. Then make your way to the next part of the level. You have longer conveyor belt bits right here, but nothing too impossible. Once you get to here, we're going to drop down and then just follow the trail of coins. The coins are going to eventually lead you to this next crescendo bit right here. You're going to have the electric pit in the middle, which is going to make things a little challenging. Just stick to one side and spam your dash. Once you clear that, we are going to keep making our way forward. The dash is going to help out a lot with these platforming bits. Just make sure you are super duper careful. Once the level bends right here, make sure you take this path, and then we're going to drop all the way down, zigzagging through all of the enemies. Do take advantage of your dash. Super, super helpful. And then once we get to this bit, we're going to staircase up to the checkpoint. The next collectible is going to be located in this segment, so make sure you keep an eye out for it. Make sure you take the upper path until you notice it sparkle. Then once you see it, just make sure you backtrack a bit, drop down on the longer platform, and then try to edge your way towards it, and then grab it, and then quickly salvage your fall. On to Chapter 5. First one's going to be in 5-1. This one is going to be the first forest level. This one's going to be quite a ways into the level, so make sure you are a little careful with this one. So just keep making your way forward, and then you're going to notice the "What are you buying?" guy. Just ignore him. We have a bunch of these moving platform rides that we have to get through. Very slow and tedious, but just make sure you get through them the best you can, and then just speed your way along the more straight and narrow parts. Once you get off that moving platform, you're going to have a big staircase right here. Make sure you get up here. You're going to have a multiple way fork in the level. To get the collectible, and the most pragmatic way forward is you want to make sure you shoot your way through the vines. So make sure you ignore that upper path, which is going to lead to pretty much nothing. And just make sure you blast your way through the vines and then get onto this moving platform right here. That's going to take you to all of the things that are worth going to. So make sure you just ignore that upper path and then get on your little log ride right here. Once you finally get off, make sure you hit your next checkpoint. You're going to have this bit, which is pretty easy to get through, so just make sure you time it A-OK. Pretty simple, generic video game stuff. And then once you get on the other side of this, we're going to have another crescendo part, so just make sure you get through this amount of tedium with all of the paratroopers. Once you get through them, we're going to have a big wall right here. Recommend using your flamethrower if you have it, or if you are super patient, you can also blast your way through it. Doesn't really matter as long as you get to the other side of this wall of vines. Once you get to the other side, you're going to have, surprise, surprise, another crescendo bit. So again, try your best to get through this. And then we're going to have another wall of vines right here. Multiple walls of vines, in fact, and a checkpoint in the middle of all of that. So definitely use your flamethrower if you're getting super impatient right here. But once you finally get to the part with the skulls, the collectible is going to be pretty close by. Make sure you take the bounce pad and then make sure you go leftward with it. Once you are up here, we're going to keep moving forward and then we're going to hit this bounce pad and then we're going to have this bridge right here. Quickly jump across. Watch out for the skulls, obviously, but they can't really hurt you since we are invincible. Rescue the POW and then just make sure you blast your way through this set of vines. As you can see, the collectible is going to be all the way over here towards the end of the level, so make sure you grab that and then we can quickly proceed on. Moving on to 5-2 Understory. This is going to be a super well hidden collectible, so we are going to try to keep our best eye out for it. Once you wrap up the moving platforms, the level is going to turn into a maze. You should get a checkpoint right here at the start of the maze. So we're going to be showing this maze from the perspective of someone who just entered and is trying to go for the collectible. So the shortest path there is to blow up a hole next to the left side of the checkpoint. Drop down, and then you should get to this big thing of vines right here. The collectible is actually going to be hidden in the bottom rightmost corner of this set of vines. So just keep blasting your way through. I am going to highly recommend you use the flamethrower right here because if you blast your way through with the machine gun or the rocket launcher, you are going to have the vines respawn rather quickly. So again, highly recommend taking advantage of the rocket launcher. But if you can get to that bottom right corner, you should be able to grab the collectible. So just keep blasting your way through. Hopefully you don't get stuck, and then hopefully you can grab the collectible right in here. And that's going to be our second to last one. Last one's going to be done right here. This is going to be number 20 in level 5-6. So you're going to start out right here. Just make sure you follow the trail of coins until you get to this bit. You're going to need to switch over to the ice gun for this, so make sure you swap that out. Once equipped, you're going to shoot these little sphinx things, and basically once they are frozen, they're going to act as a little bounce pad to get you higher up, so make sure you do take advantage of that. Then make sure you refill your ice gun, and then do the same to get this one, and then just make your way through the next part of the level. Keep bouncing your way forward, and then we're going to have a pretty linear path right here. Make sure you try to switch to an offensive gun to get rid of the vines. Again, highly recommend the flamethrower for those parts. Crescendo bit right here. Same old, same old. Try your best to get through this and survive A-okay. Once you manage to survive that, the last collectible is going to be right over here. This one's going to be a little tricky to get. You're going to need to switch back to the ice gun, and you're going to have to freeze any one of these enemies and then try to bounce off of them. The problem with these enemies, unlike the Sphinx guys, they aren't going to be indestructible, so if you mess up the jump, the enemies are going to die. So if they do end up dying, you can always just restart the level and try to get back to this point. But basically, if you can get one alive, freeze it, bounce off of it into this little corner right here, pick up your 20th and final unicorn shoe that we need for this achievement, and you should be good for it. 50 gamer score. There are going to be more in the game, so if you happen to miss one, you can keep going and then try to go for one of the later ones, but there's going to be the first 20 that you can get, and that's all there is to it.